I've listened to Kind of Blue by Miles Davis for 2 years.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. I'm James, and with me, a trumpet player for the ages, it's Connor.
That is the nicest intro I think you've ever done for me.
Well, thank you. I wanted to fake the people out. I bet they thought I was going to say Miles Davis, which if you did, do your research. He's not around.
Do your research, yeah.
But you're the next best living thing for this podcast, probably.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be a torchbearer for the legacy of a legend like Miles Davis?
Yeah, you know, someone had to do it, and that someone had to be me.
Had to be? They asked everyone else. I said, fine.
Yeah.
If you can't find any other Miles Davis torchbearers.
It wasn't so much that I said fine, it was they were like, we've asked everybody else. They all said, no, you're our only hope. Please. We really didn't want you, but no one else will do it.
Some people are born Miles Davis. Really just one of them. Others have Miles Davis thrust upon them. Well, I mean, I'm guessing you know a lot of his work as a trumpet player, as a guy who likes this kind of jazz music.
Well, that's stereotyping.
Well, yeah, I mean, don't tell me you've never listened to... it's the kind of music you like. Like when you pick up a trumpet and you look to trumpet players who inspire you.
Yeah.
Like, is Miles Davis on your list, or?
Yeah, he's probably on just about all the lists.
I imagine you're more of a Dizzy Gillespie guy myself, but...
I am a huge Dizzy Gillespie guy. Did whole reports on Dizzy Gillespie back in high school and middle school.
Oh, well, maybe that's a path we'll have to travel down sometime, too.
Yeah. You can imagine middle school Connor, 2008 Connor. He was still alive.
Yeah, right.
Big fan of Dizzy Gillespie and the puffed cheeks.
Yeah. Your cheeks, some say that your cheeks are still puffed to this day.
Puffed up in death. 2008 Connor.
Oh, gosh. Rip. Maybe Miles Davis is too.
He died as he lived. Puffed up.
Whatever that means. Just gotta puff your cheeks to blow in the trumpet. I don't know. We're not talking about Dizzy Gillespie. We're talking about Miles Davis. And I was excited to hear this album. First of all, it gets a lot of rave reviews as one of the eminent jazz albums of all time. But also, it features a lot of huge names in the genre. And I wanted to open the door to exploring those in future episodes, which is pretty sick. Like John Coltrane.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Cannonball Adderley. All the greats. Some of the greats.
Gotta do Cannonball.
That's right.
With a name like that?
It's my favorite way to enter a pool. Actually, probably not.
Oh, whoa, it's not? Well, what is? Now I gotta know.
I'm gonna take the stairs guy.
Whoa, you don't jump into the pool?
No, not usually.
I've never thought you were more lame than right now.
Never?
Never.
Well, I'm so proud of my past self. This is an interesting album, too, because it's short in terms of track number. There's only 5 songs, but most of them are close to or greater than 10 minutes long. So that's fun. And they're all instrumental. We don't talk about too many instrumental albums, but it has happened. What did we even address? Sorry, I said it minutes ago and then forgot. Did you play Miles Davis ever? Did you study his work or imitate his style? I derailed us with the Dizzy Gillespie thing.
You really did. No. I wasn't really a soloist.
Oh.
I was a big band kind of guy.
Okay.
And I didn't like in high school you don't study and specific musicians and stuff like you would if you were going to college to be a professional musician.
Not in class.
So I have friends who did, but I never did.
Davisians.
Davidites.
Oh, that's pretty good. So do you know much about Miles Davis and his various quartets, quintets, and sextets?
Oh, yes, I do. All the tets.
Miles Davis is a man of many tets.
He's got a lot of tets.
So dumb. Well, you know a lot, and this time I actually believe you. You don't have to go, what don't I know? And it means nothing. That's cool.
Yeah, well, I noticed I didn't say what don't I know.
I did notice.
Because I actually know stuff.
Yeah, I learned a lot about Miles Davis for this episode. You have to correct me or interject if you have any fun facts or additions.
Probably won't.
Okay. Well,
but we'll see.
We'll see. You could puff up the narrative of the episode if you do. First of all, did you know that his middle name is Dewey?
Dewey what?
Do we know his middle name? Yes, we do. It's Dewey.
I want to meet Miles Huey Davis and Miles Louis Davis and then get them all in the same room.
There's a joke in there that I can't find. I don't know. I got nothing.
Yeah, I don't got anything either.
Miles Dewey Davis III. 2 other Miles Dewey Davises. I can't account for Huey and Louis Davis, but 3 Dewey Davises.
Well, maybe he was just Miles Davis the third, and then the other 2
Oh.
were Huey and Louie.
Actually, I don't know if his dad and grandpa shared.
Dewey.
Dewey is a middle name.
Do we all have the same middle name?
We'll never know. Well, we might know, but we won't know for now. Miles Davis was born just north of St. Louis in Alton, Illinois in 1926. Big band era, right before the Great Depression and stuff. His mother was a musician. She played violin and she taught music. So he had a ton of great music skills. And his dad was a dentist. So he had great teeth. Believe it or not, both of those things would be relevant to his career trajectory. Well, not the teeth part, but the dad as a dentist part. Miles was the middle child between an older sister and a younger brother. They grew up on a huge 200-acre pig farm, and they lived a really awesome outdoorsy lifestyle. They fished and they rode horses. They did all the classic farm chores that you'd expect when you live on a 200-acre pig farm. But when the turn of the decade comes around and the Great Depression hits, Miles Davis II had to really dive deep into his work in order to support the family. His dad starts doing a ton of dental work. But Miles, too, he's working hard. In the meantime, Miles 3 is hard at work in Catholic school. And later he moved from a Catholic school into a segregated public school. He was a big sports guy and a big math guy, but most of all, he was unsurprisingly...
Me too.
Yeah, you were a big sports guy. You did soccer and other big sports.
And band?
Yeah.
It's considered a sport?
Well, but that counts as music guy more than sport guy, I think.
Yeah, well, marching band's considered a sport.
Yeah, you're just following in the footsteps of Miles Davis.
It's where sport and music come together. And I was a big math guy.
Yeah, that's true. A bigger math guy than me, that's for sure. I was really grateful to sit behind you in math class. I tried copying off you in calculus. The teacher said it was a little derivative. It's fine.
I hate it.
Thank you. Miles, as a big music guy, he grew up with a lot of influences from gospel and blues and big band music, stuff that was all the rage in the late 20s. In 1935, when he was 9 years old, Miles got his very first trumpet as a gift. His mom, of course, was a string instrument woman and wanted him to play violin instead. But the trumpet just kind of fell into his lap. And what luck, too, because one of his father's dental patients played the trumpet. And he offered to give Miles lessons in exchange for teeth cleanings, I guess.
Wild.
It's pretty cool. Sometimes it helps to have a dentist dad. You never know what cavities in your life that'll end up filling. That dental patient was a man by the name of Elwood Buchanan, and Miles called him the biggest influence on my life. Buchanan stressed the importance of playing a lot of clear, strong notes, and he really said you don't need to do a lot of that fancy heavy vibrato stuff, which was all the rage in popular music at the time. You've heard the vibrato. It's like the instrument sounds wobbly.
Yeah.
You oscillate above and below the pitch.
Oh, we loved a good wobble.
Yeah. That's a puffed up wobble. Yeah, but Miles is not doing that. He's hitting the notes dead on. He's learning. Thank you for the very clear, audible example for the audience.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so Miles is learning in this very distinct and kind of countercultural style from the very beginning. By the age of 12, music had become the most important thing in my life, Davis said, and he was good. For his 13th birthday, his dad bought him a brand new trumpet instead of this hand-me-down trumpet he's had for 4 years. But Davis very quickly took that new instrument out on the town. He was playing in talent shows, doing gigs with local groups. He even started to outpace his teacher and took up more advanced lessons with the principal trumpeter in the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. He's 13.
Well, now you're just being a bit much.
A bit much, you think?
Imagine me like, yeah, hey, teacher, I'm better than you now. You're not worth it. I got to move on. At the age of 13? That's crazy.
That's pretty wild. But I'm pretty certain it would be more of a situation where the teacher would say, I have nothing left to teach you. Like, go, be free, and learn from someone greater than I. That's how I picture it.
It's less fun, but more realistic.
Yeah, well, you know. But the principal trumpeter, I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
He didn't even go for the second chair. Just went straight to the top. It was at this point that Davis joined his high school marching band, and he started competing. And that really honed his skills and encouraged him to learn the intricacies of music theory. More than just playing technique, now he's learning scales and notes and song structures and all that stuff. Then, after graduation and after becoming a father, Miles picked up what he considered one of the most important jobs of his career. He joined the Rum Boogie Orchestra, also known as the Blue Devils.
Blue Devils.
And he decided he wanted a bigger music scene to be a part of. So in 1944, he packed up and he moved to the Big Apple, New York City, to study music at Juilliard. And man, what a music scene there is in New York City, especially for jazz in the 40s.
Yeah.
He finds his way up to Harlem, and Davis starts playing alongside legends like Fats Navarro, J.J. Johnson, and Thelonious Monk. Just invaluable experience. So invaluable, in fact, that Miles just straight up dropped out of Juilliard after a year and a half. He said, no, I want to perform, I want to play jazz and bebop music full time. Formal education is not for me. Get me in the clubs.
Get me in the clubs. Gotta see all them tets.
My God. He spent some time on 52nd Street playing in little venues with Lockjaw Davis before suddenly he does himself step into some pretty big shoes to fill. He replaces the one and only puffed up Dizzy Gillespie in the Charlie Parker Quintet in 1945.
And I never forgave him for it.
For replacing Dizzy Gillespie? I think Gillespie was already gone. I don't think it was a situation where they said, oh, you're so much better than this guy.
Yeah, I know.
Come kick him out. They said, shoot, he left. Dizzy Gillespie was on to bigger and better things. But that's 1945. He said at that time I was so much into the music that I was even ignoring Irene, who was his girlfriend and the mother of his child. He also picked up some new vices during this time in the form of cocaine and heavy drinking. And that's the light stuff that he gets into. Of course, he's recording singles with various groups all the while. He's also earning quite a reputation from the elite musical company he's keeping, to the point where Miles Davis gets an offer to join none other than Duke Ellington's orchestra in 1948. We learned all about the Duke on episode 94. I believe it was your birthday.
I don't remember that. I don't get birthdays on this podcast.
Every year, annually. Yeah.
Doesn't seem right.
Well, Davis gets invited to join Duke, and he's in the incredible position to turn down Duke Ellington. Davis has bigger plans, and those bigger plans take the form of the Miles Davis Nonette that would open for Count Basie, who we talked about on episode 163, 70 weeks ago. And he also continued to work with Charlie Parker's quintet. So he's in a band of 5, and he's got his own band of 9 for a minute. He left the quintet in 1948 after some pay disputes, which is never fun. The Nonette folded in late 1949, and suddenly his schedule is open. His calendar's clear. So he takes some time and heads to Paris, the city of love, which he says changed the way I look at things forever in more ways than one. Because in going overseas and getting out of the racially charged and often segregated music scene in America, he saw the respect that a lot of black musicians were getting overseas, which he felt, correctly, that they were lacking in America. So that's a big change in his perspective. But also, he had an affair with French singer and actress Juliette Greco. So that'll also change your perspective on some things. He gets back from Paris, and the early 1950s are hard on Miles. He cannot find enough work. He starts to fall behind on his rent. He develops a very expensive and, of course, naturally hard to manage heroin addiction. And he is still just 23 years old. And his life is...
Yeah, again, people like this make me question everything I've ever done in life. It's like, what was I doing when I was 23?
Not this. What do you mean? Not struggling to pay your rent with a heroin addiction.
Right, but I'm thinking about, I was 23, having a pretty normal life.
That's true.
And I'm here now. He was this prodigy that then had this really his life has had more roller coasters by 23
than you've ever had.
Than I may ever have. And then to just the roller coasters still to come.
That's true.
It's just like, I guess everybody wishes they had more peaks, but nobody wants the valleys that come with them.
Yeah. Oh, that's deep.
Deep thoughts with a legendary trumpeter.
Yeah, that's right. Deep thoughts with the torchbearer of Miles Davis. Yeah. He said, I lost my sense of discipline, lost my sense of control over my life, and started to drift. But thankfully, his work with the Nonette caught the attention of Prestige Records, and Davis was able to sign a year-long deal that led to his first proper LPs. Most of his early projects were just compilation records, but, it's still the start of Miles' career making what you would consider an album of music. Because again, he's kind of back before that album era at this point.
Yeah.
He was still, though, struggling financially, and his heroin addiction was ramping up. He actually just left and went to Detroit for a half year because it was harder for him to buy drugs there. And he did eventually shake his heroin addiction.
Shake it off. Shake it off.
Yeah. He moved back to New York in 1954, and he felt good for the first time in a long time, he says. He approached the label Blue Note, and he said, guys, I'm back. I'm better than ever. I want to make records with a quintet. They said, great, let's do it. He evolved from his bebop style into a new genre that people call hard bop, which is a little bit like cool jazz, but blues inspired, with a little bit more of a solid hard beat behind it. His record, Walkin', is one that a lot of critics point to as inventing the genre. So we've got another real pioneer this week. We've had a lot of those lately. Davis starts making records with that quintet. He also had to have surgery for polyps on his vocal cords and couldn't be bothered to obey the doctor's orders to quit talking. So he strained his fragile voice and he developed a really raspy tone for the rest of his life. That, combined with a really standoffish attitude towards critics and the public, earned Miles the nickname the Prince of Darkness. He had that name even before Ozzy came along.
And then Ozzy stole it.
Yeah, like a real Prince of Darkness would. Davis did another tour of Europe where he reignited his affair with his French girlfriend. But more importantly, he started working with other icons. This is the moment where Cannonball Adderley and John Coltrane enter the scene. His quintet expanded into a sextet. The tets just keep on coming.
The tets just keep growing.
For a time, Miles thought of stepping away from music altogether at just 30 years old to be a professor of music at Harvard or to be an executive at a record label.
Well, that's not really stepping away from music.
No, step away from making and playing music.
I'm going to step away from music to go teach music.
Yeah, you're right. It's an interesting thought. But it's a totally different vibe to go into business, music business, or to be a professor. It's definitely not jazz clubs and quintets and touring.
Yeah, that's fair.
But at the end of the day, he really doesn't step away from music very much at all. He ramps up a little bit. In fact, he starts to work with Gil Evans, a jazz pianist and an arranger, who would go on to work on Miles' next 5 records. And that also got Miles into his first forays into classical music. But what he found is that classical music is very structured. It's very kind of rigid. And he discovered that jazz musicians have a hard time with really complicated classical arrangements. And then the flip side of that is that classical musicians, well, they can't improvise quite as well. So on his next album, he decided to lean into that dichotomy. And that is what we're talking about today on Kind of Blue. It's a little unclear based on the discographies you can find online because he was in so many bands and did so many projects. By my count, I think it's Davis's 27th LP record. He recorded most of the record with his hard bopping band that features, of course, those major names: saxophonist John Coltrane, drummer Jimmy Cobb, bassist Paul Chambers, saxophonist Julian Cannonball Adderley, pianist Wynton Kelly, pianist Bill Evans, and also on the team was recording engineer Fred Plout. At this stage in his life, Davis was looking for something new, looking to change it up, and he'd been reading up on author and composer George Russell's music theory, which kind of encouraged abandoning chords altogether in favor of scales, and that would enable you to kind of explore the ways that scales all relate to each other. Davis says, hey, that's pretty cool. What if on this next album, it's a modal jazz album? And so he sets it up that way. The band goes into the studio for 2 days of recording, March 2nd and April 22nd, 1959. They recorded at Columbia Records' 30th Street Studio in New York City, and basically Davis tells the band, we're not doing chords. We're not doing it. It's different. So don't practice anything. Don't rehearse. What you need to do is you need to get very, very, very familiar with these particular scales. So he hands them, sets of scales they need to learn for each of these songs. And being professionals, of course, they did practice and learn all their scales, and they get to the studio with virtually no idea what they're going to play. Mm-hmm. And they more or less improvise this album out. They didn't do pretty much anything in one take, except for the last track, Flamenco Sketches. Everything else took a few different attempts to nail down. And honestly, on most of these songs, they couldn't even get to the end of a song in one take, which was very interesting. We'll get more into that later, but still, it's largely an album of off-the-cuff improvisations, like the whole time, which is really interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Also to help out and to help them kind of play off of each other and the energy and stuff, they were confined to a small space together, close by in a recording studio, so they could hear each other well and riff off each other. They weren't separated or sitting far away or mic'd up from a different room. They wanted the energy in like a chamber kind of space. Davis later said that no chords gives you a lot more freedom and space to hear things. When you go this way, you can go on forever. You don't have to worry about changes, and you can do more with the melody line. He said it becomes a challenge to see how melodically innovative you can be. When you're based on chords, at the end of 32 bars that the chords have run out, and there's nothing to do but repeat what you've just done with variations. He said, I think a movement in jazz is beginning away from the conventional string of chords. There will be fewer chords, but infinite possibilities as to what to do with them. So that's kind of his philosophy for Kind of Blue. And he also decided to name the album Kind of Blue because that was just generally his mood at the time. Lots going on in his life, and it wasn't very happy. He was feeling kind of blue. The LP came out on August 17th, 1959, and it was a major hit right away. It was Davis's first LP to hit the charts. In fact, it went to number 3 in the United States, and it's very much gone down as his magnum opus and a milestone, pun very much intended, in the evolution of jazz music.
Not a kilometer stone?
No, this is the milest one.
Oh.
But it's got 5 stars and 10 out of 10s from every publication everywhere. You name it. Pitchfork, Rolling Stone, AllMusic, Q, Entertainment Weekly, all of them. One reviewer said the album towers above its peers, a record generally considered as the definitive jazz album, a universally acknowledged standard of excellence. Cobb, the drummer on the project, said it must have been made in heaven. Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. An album made in heaven. Chef's kiss. Pianist Chick Corea said that Kind of Blue practically created a new language of music. And that's hard to conceptualize. Like, this is just not the way music was made prior to that point. Nobody was thinking like this. Nobody was doing this. Nobody could even conceptualize of doing this until it happened and it existed. It's consistently been on lists of the top 50 albums of all time by Rolling Stone, peaking as high as number 12 in 2003, and in 2020 it was still holding strong at number 31. In 2002, Kind of Blue was one of the first 50 works ever included in the Library of Congress's National Recording Registry. That was the first year it ever existed.
I didn't realize it was that recent.
I know, right?
It feels like it should be older than that.
Older than 23 years. That's true, though. I don't know. Recordings have been around for quite some time, so I guess it does seem odd that we didn't decide to start preserving them until the 21st century. But I don't know. It just speaks volumes that they recognize the excellence of Kind of Blue enough for it to be among the first 50 things you put in there. That's cultural evolution. In 2009, the United States House of Representatives just straight up passed a resolution honoring the album's 50th anniversary. Even through all the government red tape, the House of Representatives said, yes, we like this album. In this divisive political time. Maybe our politicians need to get back to Miles Davis.
Yeah.
By 2019, the album would be certified 5 times platinum for selling more than 5 million units in the US.
It's a lot of units.
That's so many units. And it's also, of course, been wildly influential. Artists who claim Kind of Blue as an influence include the Allman Brothers and Pink Floyd and Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones actually said, that will always be my music. I play Kind of Blue every day. It's my orange juice. It still sounds like it was made yesterday.
Who's that?
Quincy Jones, the music producer.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, did all the stuff with Michael Jackson and The Strike.
Pretty sure we've never talked about that person.
And a million other things. Oh my goodness. What a record.
What a record.
But Miles Davis himself is anything but a one-trick pony or a static kind of guy. He was not going to do the same thing twice, and by 1986, he pretty much left Kind of Blue in the dust. He said it was done in that era, the right hour, the right day, and it happened. It's over. When I used to play with Bill Evans, all those different modes and substitute chords, we had the energy then, and we liked it, but I have no feel for it anymore. He said the album is more like warmed over turkey.
Dang.
Yeah. So his tastes evolved in time. But honestly, that makes sense. For an artist, yeah, your past work's going to remind you of the past, and you want to look forward toward the future and the exciting stuff you're doing now. But I just thought it was interesting that he panned this acclaimed album so hard. After Kind of Blue, to give you kind of a rundown of the rest of his career, Davis, he had an impactful run-in with the law. He was profiled and he was arrested. Remember, still a good bit before the major progress of the ongoing civil rights movement. He said it changed my whole life and my whole attitude again, made me feel bitter and cynical again when I was starting to feel good about the things that had changed in this country. He remains Kind of Blue. But in spite of all that, he still made music. The sextet lost Cannonball Adderley and dropped back down to a quintet, but Miles' bands were always a little fluid and continued to evolve over the decades. It's so hard to keep track of when he was in a sextet or a quintet, when he was leading it, when he was in there with somebody else.
He was just always tetting.
He's always tetting.
You just didn't know how much.
Yeah. It's like a maze to weave together all of Miles Davis's history. I tried my best to give you a good summation, but just know. Hello?
Breaking news.
Breaking news?
Yeah, we mentioned his 5,000 units and how many units that was.
5 million units.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
5,000 units. He sold that in no time.
Yeah. We talked about how many units his 5 million units was.
Yes.
And so I added up all my units and then applied a factor of 1,000. You know, be like, oh, if my units were like the factors of 1,000.
Well, this is episode 230.
Uh-huh.
There's probably about 15 singles episodes. So let's just call it like 215 episodes you've given units for.
Uh-huh.
And if you multiply by a factor of 1,000, that's 215,000.
No. I went through and added up all my units. So, like, you know, I gave out...
Oh, like 12 Days of Christmas styles?
Yeah. I gave out 9 Cadillac acts and, like, 8 things that are more than whole.
Oh, my gosh.
So I added all those up.
That's so hard.
And applied a factor of 1,000. And I'd only be at 1.5 million units.
Wow.
Even with the factor of 1,000.
That's pretty remarkable.
But I've given out 1,563 individual units based on that math.
Thank you for that breaking news update. Very informative.
Well, you said to interrupt if I had anything to add.
Yeah,
so I thought I would.
You did. You puffed up this section about his late career with some statistics that help us conceptualize the bigness of numbers. Well, the mid-1960s saw Davis going through some health struggles as well. He had a liver infection, he had a hip replaced in 1965, and after 3 months in the hospital, he, quote, discharged himself due to boredom. I didn't know you could do that, but he did.
You can always discharge yourself. Unless you're being held like for insanity or something.
Yeah, I suppose.
You just have to sign a bunch of forms acknowledging that your doctors disagree.
Yeah, well, yeah. Due to boredom is wild, though. After that, his touring venues started to lean away from clubs and traditional jazz venues, and he started to perform more on college campuses and stuff like that. In 1968, Davis went electric, as many bands did at the time. That really changed the complexion of his sound and the boundaries that he was able to push. He put out another one of his most famous records in 1970. We'll call it Butterscotch's Brew. It's a B word that kind of sounds like butterscotch in terms of the first and last sounds. That brew.
That brew.
Yeah. It's just incredible to me that he can have two career-defining works come out in such vastly different decades of music. Kinda Blue is from the 50s, and Butterscotch Brew is from the 70s, and they're both monumental Miles Davis works. That's just very cool to me. Davis also started breaking through the jazz barrier, and he started to become more mainstream with rock audiences. He opened for the likes of the Steve Miller Band and Neil Young. Mm-hmm. He even planned to record with the legendary Jimi Hendrix prior to his untimely death. At one point, Miles was playing to audiences of up to 600,000 people. That's unbelievable numbers. That's 6 stadiums.
That's nuts.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
That's like 5 of the world's longest conga lines.
We could beat it.
No, you couldn't. But I guess if you're his torchbearer, truly, you might be destined to beat it. In the mid-1970s, Davis took another hiatus, and he relapsed into a lot of substance abuse, and he said sex and drugs took the place music had occupied in my life, which I thought was a very sad quote. But he had diabetes, he underwent another hip replacement, and he suffered from a leg infection. He was just going through it. But of course, he bounced back as always in the 80s. He continued recording and performing all the way up until his death in 1991. At that point, his health problems just became too much and really compounded. He ended up needing a trach due to pneumonia, and he wound up with an intracerebral hemorrhage and in a coma, which is wild. He passed away on September 28th, 1991 at the age of 65. And it's unreal to me that he was still so young, relatively speaking. But he did live a life that was pretty hard on his body, but just to be such a legendary name, 65 is wild.
Yeah.
He was buried in New York with one of his trumpets near Duke Ellington's grave. Over the course of his lifetime, Davis would record 60 studio albums and 39 live albums. That's 99 records in 65 years of life. He also would release 57 singles. It's one of the most prolific bodies of work in American music, and it's a very defining catalog for all of jazz. What a guy. He's obviously been a hugely influential figure in music of all sorts, but his awards and accolades include 8 Grammy Awards on 32 nominations. Remember, a lot of his early works came out before the Grammys were even around. He's also earned a Sonning Award, which is Denmark's highest honor in music. He's got an honorary doctorate from the New England Conservatory. He's been knighted by the Knights of Malta. He is on the St. Louis Walk of Fame, the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and Miles Davis was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2006. Also, fun trivia tidbits, he has scored 5 films, and appeared in 5 films, including Dingo, Miami Vice, and John Lennon's Imagine, which is awesome. So that's my spiel about Miles Davis and his history and all that jazz. It's time for the Mixtaper to come on out here and play some Factor Spin. And let's see what he's got up his Mixtaper sleeve.
Probably something that's kind of purple.
Kind of purple. Yeah, an album by the Mixtaper.
Kind of dastardly.
No kidding. Let's see if he can trick me.
Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper.
Hello, Mixtaper.
Dastard is my favorite color to kind of be.
That's not a color, though.
You've never seen the shade dastard?
No. What's its hex code? You can forget I asked. It's fine.
6E19B3.
Oh.
Dastard purple. Definitely isn't a shade called Purple Heart.
Mixtaper purple is 6401A9. That's very purple.
Oh, so maybe 6401A9 is dastard purple.
That's your purple.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh, wait, hang on. No. 9BFE56. That's the color of a dastard right there.
Stop making me look up hex codes. This isn't fun for the audience either.
I didn't say it was fun for...
9BF156.
That's dastard green. You got Mixtaper purple and dastard green.
Ah.
It's the complementary to 6401A9.
Well, your green is actually...
Yeah, well, I don't care what my green is.
Okay.
I just like that this is the complement to my purple. Anyway, the audience does not care about that one bit. They care about my dastardly round of Factor Spin you're about to play.
Yeah, I'm afraid. Miles Davis could have a lot of cool facts here.
All my facts are cool.
I know, they are. But the man rubbed elbows with some real legends.
1, 2, 3, or 4. You don't even get any clues this week. Just 1, 2, 3, or 4.
No clues. Let's start with 3.
Starting with 3. He took a year-long vow of silence.
Whoa. I said that whole bit about his vocal cords getting messed up and needing rest. Is that related?
It is.
Okay, because he did fail that test. He couldn't stop talking. And so maybe did he take the vow of silence and keep the vow of silence?
Well, I didn't say he kept it.
I'll take one right now. A year-long vow of silence. Whoops, broke it. Anyway.
Yeah. So this was inspired by his throat surgery, needing to be silent. But yeah, he did not make it the whole year.
How long did he make it?
2 months.
2 months is a respectable amount of time to be silent.
Yeah.
Also, is it a vow of silence if it's medically prescribed?
Well, this was after his throat surgery was done. So like he failed during that, right? But then decided to go vow a year-long silence.
After it was too late?
Yeah, it was too late, but he became disenchanted with the idea of speaking.
Remarkable. How did he talk then? I mean, communicate if he didn't talk. Whiteboard kind of guy?
Through his trumpet and handwritten notes.
Like a Charlie Brown adult? That's more of a trombone situation. Trying to talk to Miles Davis and he just goes, wah, 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 wah. Like, come on.
Yeah, supposedly, according to this, if he was hungry, he would blow a blues lick that sounded like a whining puppy until someone fetched him a meal.
That's like a baby. He's like, you gotta discern what he wants by how he cries. That's so awful.
When people were annoying him in meetings, he would stab a few angry notes into the air.
I'm surprised he wouldn't just do that without the vow of silence.
That's fair. But apparently for more complex thoughts, he would use handwritten notes.
More complex thoughts than need food, shut up. Yeah, things that you can easily say with a trumpet. But handwritten notes is honestly, that's a good way to work around the vow of silence thing. What gets him to break the vow at 2 months? Is he just done with it or does he mess up?
He became disenchanted with the idea of not talking.
Oh, he undisenchanted himself.
I don't know about that last part. That was me just being silly.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That last part was just me being silly. No, I think he just broke it. I think he was just done with it.
How did people around him in his life feel about this? Was this annoying or were they like, yeah, good for you, man?
Yeah, quite annoying.
Yeah. Did they try and, if it were me, I'd try and trip him up.
Oh, yeah, that's such a you thing to do. That is, like, you've never said something more true about yourself.
Yeah, I think that might be right. But only if we were good friends. I wouldn't do it if he was a stranger. I'd respect his decision. But, like, if it were you, if you came to me...
But, like, if I made a vow of silence, you would be all over me.
Yeah, I would. Well, because then the podcast would have a rough year, I think.
Yeah, no Factor Spin.
Yeah, Connor would have to do it or something, and I can't even picture how that would go.
Yeah, it wouldn't go great.
I think this is interesting. I think this is a spin.
A spin.
He does seem like a rather cynical kind of guy that would do this. I would honestly, though, I would imagine this stuff about the trumpet playing and the handwritten notes probably comes from the time that he actually had to be silent, and then he just failed at it. I don't know if he...
I'm sorry, do you think he could play the trumpet but not talk after his surgery?
Yeah, it was his vocal polyps, I assume.
I just feel like you shouldn't be playing the trumpet if you can't even speak.
Well, but it's polyps on the vocal cords, and so...
Yeah, but it's just still doing a lot on your throat.
He's just puffed up. What's the big deal?
Fair enough.
It probably is doing a lot for the throat, though. Yeah, but I do think that's probably... I'm guessing that's where that information comes from, and you just had him double dipping in the silent treatment pool.
This is a spin.
Oh, yeah. I'm on to you and your games.
But yes, it was inspired by his vocal throat surgery.
It's clever, though. We've not had a vow of silence fact yet.
Yeah. That leaves us with 1, 2, and 4, though.
Oh, you're right. Let's jump to number 1.
He had a presidential mix-up.
Oh, wow, a presidential mix-up. Well, who are the presidents that are around during his lifetime? Hoover, Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, all those guys.
Is that all you were going to name?
No, that's not all of them. Kennedy.
Mr. History Major.
Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, even up into the Carters. Well, I mean, he died in 1991. Mm-hmm. That's Bush territory. It's a surprisingly high number of presidents.
Yeah, we're getting pretty high in the list, actually.
Really? How high?
All the way to Ronald Reagan.
Wow. That's pretty up there. What's his mix-up with Ronald Reagan?
He had a mix-up with the first lady, more so than the president himself.
Nancy. How does Miles get mixed up with Nancy?
He clapped back at her, as the kids would say.
Clapped back? What did she say to him?
She, politely, maybe a little cluelessly, a little carelessly, but politely nonetheless. Well, let's back up first. Hang on, let's back up.
Oh, rewind.
1987. He gets invited to a formal White House dinner hosted by the president.
That's usually who hosts the White House dinners, I think.
A lot of dignitaries there, a lot of very important people, right?
Yeah.
He dressed pretty flamboyantly.
Really?
And so, he stood out a little bit in the crowd with all these stuffy dignitaries. And so, Nancy, just making polite conversation, kind of just goes, "So, what have you done in your life to be invited here?"
Oh.
Just kind of making conversation, trying to learn who this guy is.
Yeah.
And Miles had quite the response.
Oh, boy. What did he say?
Supposedly, he said, quote, "Well, I've changed the course of music 5 or 6 times. What have you done to be here other than shag the president?" But he didn't say shag.
He did not. Yeah, probably did not. What a comeback. Whew. You have some trickle-down tears after that one.
Oh, no.
That's brutal. Now, why would she ask him that? Why wouldn't she, just make polite conversation if she didn't know who he was and then ask somebody who knew?
Yeah, I don't know.
What an insulting question to get anywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of an insulting question.
I mean, I've worked events and stuff, and they tell you, they debrief you before the event, and they say, hey, don't ever, say stuff like that, because you never know who can overhear you or whether it's going to be taken, insultingly. If you have questions, privately, quietly talk to someone about it, who people are or whatever. Don't ever mention it in front of people or ask them. Mm-hmm. What a faux pas.
Yeah.
What a mix-up.
What a mix-up.
So she commits a microaggression towards Miles Davis. He responds with a macroaggression back. What happens?
Yeah, I don't really know. That's all the information I got.
Wow.
I don't know how it resolved.
That's pretty bold. Mr. Kinda Blue in a place that's kind of red. The Reagan White House. That's wild. I think that's a fact. I think that's bold of you to make up.
Yeah, I made up that the first lady microaggressed Miles Davis.
Yeah, I don't know if that one came from your brain, so I think that's probably, I'm leaning fact.
Well, it's a no, kidding. It's a fact. It's a fact.
Oh, it's a fact. Wow. Oh, wow. That's a wild presidential mix-up. I'm sure she meant well, but man, that's woof. What was he wearing? That's again, not victim blaming. But he's dressed flamboyantly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Just what the thing said.
Well, that's a mix-up, but I unmixed it.
Yes, indeed.
That's a presidential sort out by me.
So that leaves us with 2 and 4?
That's correct, and we're going to number 2 next.
He was saved by a famous Good Samaritan.
A famous Good Samaritan. Well, let's start with figuring out how he was saved and see if I can guess who the Good Samaritan is. Saved in what way? Physically? Spiritually?
Both his life and from jail would be how he was saved.
His life and from jail.
Saved his life and saved him from jail.
Okay. Well, what's he save his life from?
Car crash.
Saves his life from a car crash? Does he save him from having the car crash, or does he save his life after the car crash has happened?
After the car crash has happened.
Okay, just making sure. And saves him from jail. Is this a person he hits and in a car accident and they don't press charges? Like, what happens?
No.
How's this person save him from jail?
Throws his giant bags of cocaine in the sewer.
Oh, wow. If it was here, it ain't here no more. So they're saving his life. And as law enforcement or paramedics show up and they would find the drugs, he's flushing them down the sewer. This mysterious Good Samaritan. When is this happening?
When is this happening?
That's what I said.
1972.
A famous Good Samaritan in 1972.
He wasn't famous in 1972, but he since became moderately famous.
And is he famous for his Good Samaritanism? Or is this just a coincidence? A time that someone famous for something else did something good?
Coincidence. Yeah.
Okay. Who's getting famous after 1972?
Somebody you've probably never heard of, to be honest.
Oh.
I hadn't really heard of him either, but that's what I said, moderately famous.
Okay. Well, then I guess I won't even take a guess if I'm not likely to know. What were they famous for?
He's an American filmmaker, financier, and automotive entrepreneur. Know any of those?
Well, not off the top of my head. I watched Ford versus Ferrari. That was a good movie. Automaker. I don't know. Chevrolet. We talked about how that name means goat pasture. Who was it?
James Glickenhaus.
Glickenhaus. Right on the tip of my tongue.
Owner and managing member of Sudaria Cameron Glickenhaus, the automobile company that currently makes 5 types of cars. The SCG 3, 4, Boot, 6, and 7.
Okay, well...
Don't ask me why 5 was called Boot, but...
Well...
It's a race-oriented car that takes its design cues from Formula 1 race cars. But he's more famously known, well, that's probably what he's most famously known for because of the automobile world, but what we would be more likely to know him from is as a filmmaker in the 1980s.
What 80s movies are of the Glickenhaus variety?
He made The Exterminator.
Not the Terminator.
Not the Terminator. The Exterminator.
That's what happens when Arnold Schwarzenegger retires.
The Soldier, Shakedown, and the Jackie Chan vehicle, The Protector.
Well, I've heard of none of those movies.
Yeah, well, 1980, 1982, 1988, and 1985.
Yeah, I wasn't alive for any of that.
But yeah, that's who. That's my little tangent on Jim Glickenhaus. Back to the fact.
Right. So, remind me again, car crash is happening. Is Glickenhaus involved in the car crash, or is he just there, a bystander?
He's just one of the guys Davis cut off in traffic.
Oh, a reckless driver.
Very much so.
So he crashes.
He tried to make a right angle turn at 60 miles per hour from the left lane across 3 lanes of traffic.
That's not going to work.
And he, according to Glickenhaus, quote, didn't make it.
Yeah, that sounds like an understatement if I had to guess.
He hit the WPA stone exit ramp, and his lime green Miura came apart like Brazilian plywood in the rain.
That's a very specific image that is so beyond my grasp.
Yeah.
Like, that means nothing to me. Wow. And then he watches this crash. He saves...
Yeah, well, he pulls over and runs back to the car.
Yeah.
And he sees Davis wearing leather pants, and the bones of both his legs were sticking through the pants.
Oh, my gosh.
And was bleeding badly.
Wow. Well, what's he do? I mean, tourniquets and calls the ambulance and...
Yeah, he rips up a shirt and helps him, try to staunch the bleeding until the paramedics can get there. And then also Miles was less concerned about his legs and more concerned about his car.
Yeah.
And said, is my car effed up?
Yes.
To which Glickenhaus responded,
Glickenhaus says, man, it's like Brazilian plywood and a tropical spring thunderstorm. Miles Davis says, I don't know what that means. Is my cocaine okay?
Glickenhaus says, the car's gone, man. And Miles says, I don't believe you. I got to take a look. And he said back, both of your legs are broken. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, but then what about the drugs?
Well, that's when, he noticed that there's 2 large plastic bags filled with white powder on the floor. One had broken open and dusted the interior of the car.
Oh.
So he grabbed the bags and ran to the sewer and chucked them in.
Wow. Yikes.
All the while, broken leg Miles was screaming, what are you doing? Stop!
Obviously, that doesn't get rid of all the evidence. but it's a start.
Well, you're right. It wouldn't get rid of all the evidence, but it was actually raining when he tried to pull this little stunt. And so he used the rainwater to wipe down the interior and get rid of the rest of the evidence.
Wow. That's pretty wise, I suppose. What a real one. What a friend. What a pal.
What a Glickenhaus.
What a Glickenhaus. That's how I'm going to start calling people that do good things for me. Way to be a Glickenhaus. I'm going to say this is a fact. What a feel-good little fact about people helping people. And a feel-bad fact about breaking your legs in a reckless car accident that was totally avoidable.
And losing 2 giant bags worth of cocaine.
I'm not as concerned about that. He probably needed them to get out of his life. But then he also had leg infections and hip surgeries. And wow, no wonder his lower half was in such disarray in the later years of his life.
Yeah. This is a true fact.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Miles Davis, you're being so good to me. Drive safe.
And here's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
It was years later before Miles ever knew who saved him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the 70s, you never know. What, are they going to give you a cell phone number? No. I mean, home address?
Yeah, well, Glickenhaus said that years later he was directing Shakedown with Peter Weller, and Weller was a big fan of Miles' music, and he told him that story. And one night, Peter Weller went to hear Miles perform, and he got invited backstage and asked Miles if the story was true, to which Miles apparently got real quiet and said, I always wondered who that white mother effer was. You can thank him for me and tell him to come by anytime.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Good. That's a nice uplifting story after the rougher mix-up.
Well, we're about to move into a different kind of mix-up next.
Uh-oh. What's fact number 4? A different kind of mix-up.
He was punched in the face by Albino Loco.
That does sound like a bit of an altercation, a bit of a mix-up. Who or what is Albino Loco? Because I don't know.
That was Miles's nickname for eccentric multi-instrumentalist Herminto Pascal. Pascal? One of those had to be right.
Sure. Okay. Is this someone in one of his tets? A tet mate?
No. This is in the music world, Herminto Pascal is actually quite famous in the instrumentalist world, I should say.
Uh-huh.
He's known for his Brazilian music.
Well, that makes sense.
And for his orchestration and improvisation. Miles once allegedly referred to him as the most impressive musician in the world.
Wow. So Miles is a fan.
Yes. And he got the chance to work with Herminto on the Live Evil album Miles put out. Herminto played on 3 tracks.
Okay. And is this punch on purpose or is it an accident? I'm guessing Miles is probably a pretty intense guy to work with expectations and a certain level of, tension. I would guess that things were running high in a recording.
No, it was on purpose, but also on accident.
Okay. Sounds like a gray area.
First off, let me give you a little more color on Herminto Pascal and maybe why Miles is the one who nicknamed him Albino Loco. He is not only this super impressive musician and multi-instrumentalist, he is also Brazilian, but he is also an albino Brazilian.
Yeah, I inferred.
Who is also affected with strabism and is legally blind.
Oh, so he's not trying to punch Miles Davis, he's trying to punch something he can't see?
No, he was trying to punch Miles Davis.
Well, it sounds like he succeeded. What happened? I need more details.
You see, Miles Davis is a hardcore boxing fan.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan of boxing. And, who better to box with than your legally blind Brazilian albino friend, multi-instrumentalist Herminto Pascal.
Of course.
So, yeah, Miles gave him a pair of gloves, and they decided to box. But here's the thing about boxing a blind guy. His eyes kind of just do whatever they want because he doesn't actually have to look at anything.
He's not like tracking his movements or you or anything.
Yeah. So Miles sees him look, his eyes shift left, making him think he's going to do one thing. Meanwhile, he punches right and sucker punches him right in the face. He kind of accidentally tricks Miles into thinking he was going to do a different punch.
Wow.
Because of where he was looking and clocked him right in the face. So on accident, but also on purpose.
Yikes. Did it hurt? I mean, did he break his nose? What happened? Probably nothing. Probably just got a good sock to the jaw and went, ow.
Enough of that.
Cut it out.
I mean, he got the nickname Albino Loco from it.
Oh, that wasn't a nickname prior to that incident?
No, that was Davis nicknamed him Albino Loco because of the experience.
Wow. I think this is tough. This is for me to get a perfect week. The pressure is mounting.
It is.
I think fact. I think this is true.
Going with fact?
Yeah. I am. I think I maybe knew that Miles Davis liked boxing a little bit. And if that's not true, don't count it against me.
He did indeed like boxing. Was a fan of boxing. That part is true.
I guess you could be a fan without doing it. And you could do it without getting punched in the face. And you could get punched in the face without being punched in the face by Brazilian musician superstar, what's his name? Pascal.
Minto Pascal. You can indeed be a fan of boxing and not do any of those things. But Miles did. This is a true fact.
Perfect
Congrats
week.
On the perfect week.
Gosh, it's perfect weeks for me are rare. Perfect weeks for the host team don't happen often, especially not from me.
I mean, it happens all the time when I play Connor.
Yeah, unfortunately. Knox Hamilton was a perfect week for the hosts, and Sabrina Carpenter was a perfect week for the hosts. But if I'm remembering right, that was the first run of perfect weeks the hosts have had since like episode 14. It's like been an absurdly long time. Not the hosts, but me specifically. Yeah, that might only be my 4th perfect week against you. Perfect weeks are pretty rare, so I'm happy to have locked one down here. What a momentous day.
Congrats.
Thank you. Congrats to you too.
On failing?
No, congrats on the lessons you're going to learn from this failure.
Well, that's all for me.
So it is. We'll see you next week. We'll see if you can crack my impenetrable defenses. 7 short days away.
Yeah!
There he goes. Goodbye, Mixtaper, and welcome back, Connor.
Sup. Congrats. Perfect week.
Perfect week. A quartet of host wins for you this week. Let's talk about this album art. It's Miles Davis all puffed up, playing the trumpet.
Sure is.
There's, I guess, kind of a blue tint to it, a little bit. I like his tie.
It is a nice tie.
It's a cool pattern. Another impossible album cover in which we have to hide our logo, but it's fine.
Nah, you can do it.
Yeah.
Put it right up the nostril. Have it peeking out of the nose.
I'll probably make it the tie.
Oh, yeah. Replace all the little circles on the tie with our logo.
It's kind of the only option I'm seeing, but...
I mean, peeking out of the nostril, still an option.
An option, yes. That's one of those options we put on the board during the brainstorming session where we say, there are no bad ideas.
And then quietly erase it when they're not paying attention.
Yep. But we've got a whopping 5 whole songs to talk about today. Honestly, as far as number of tracks goes, one of the shortest albums we've ever talked about.
It's true.
In contrast to The Mother, the Mechanic of the Path with 46 tracks. One of the longest we've ever talked about. Kind of fun. We're hitting all the highlights here. Some milestone weeks. Up first is a little ditty, a little tune called So What?
Mm-hmm.
So What is Rolling Stone's 492nd greatest song of all time, as of 2024, by the way, recent list. This song, it's in the Dorian mode. It follows an AABA phrasing structure, and it's a very interesting song. It's built on this kind of 2-chord sequence. The whole song kind of follows this doo-doo motif that changes keys and copies. The first chord in that sequence has become so iconic and so synonymous with Miles Davis in this song. People call it the So What chord.
The So What chord, yeah. I wondered if you had any information on that.
Yeah, it's 3 perfect fourths with a major third on top.
I believe that's Paul Chambers' work, too. The bass player. He's the one that came up with that So What riff.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's a literal call and response hook going on here.
Yeah.
Between the piano and the horns.
Yes.
Answering the bass back and forth. And it kind of, that little bop is almost like them saying, so what?
Yes. True. You can hear it in there. How do you feel about all these solos?
I mean, this kind of music, known for its solos. It's kind of what I'm actually surprised there's not more of it, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much. I'm a bit of a band and music nerd when it comes to this kind of stuff. I have probably more notes than I need for this. More notes than I would bring to like a normal song.
I love that. That's great because there's only 5 of them. We got to talk about something.
Yeah.
And there's no lyrics to analyze.
Yeah. This piece specifically, again, very famous, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. According to the Spotify plays, it's only got 125 million.
We'll talk about Blue and Green in a while. It's considered one of the best known examples of like modal jazz. I think you mentioned that earlier.
I did.
The concept of modal jazz. But this one specifically uses a 32 bar structure in its chord progression, which is so complex.
Yeah, but that's literally the thing that Davis is like, man, normal chords are so boring. You play 32 chords, get to the end, and you loop. That's like what he's doing.
Yeah. But 32's a big, like a lot of stuff loops a lot sooner than 32, it feels like.
Oh, certainly.
But it's an AABA structure where the A sections are all in the Dorian mode, the D Dorian mode, a minor scale, right? Mm-hmm. But the B section shifts up a half step into the E flat Dorian mode. And so that AABA, that's what, if you listen to it, that's what it's doing.
Yeah, and you can hear the shift very clearly.
Yeah, and I guess to kind of break that down a little more for people who don't read sheet music or understand their scales. Basically, for every 16 bars at a time, right? For 16 bars,
16 measures.
the band's sitting on that D Dorian scale. Then they move up one step for 8 bars to the E flat, then back down to the D flat for the other 8, right? So it's 16, 8, 8 is what's going on there to make the 32 bar AABA structure.
Yeah, and that's mostly just stuff that the piano is doing underneath as far as chords go, and they're soloing in those scales on top of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And trading solos from instrument to instrument to instrument.
That's where the real fun part gets, is then the soloing on top of it, right? That's, you got to have this really solid base to solo on top of. Otherwise, you're kind of just out in no man's land. And when you have something that's steady, right, as boring as the 32 bar thing is apparently to Miles, you need that sort of consistency in order to improvise off of it. If it wasn't repetitive and consistent, you're now trying to improvise on top of something that's constantly changing, and it's way harder.
Yep.
And this is actually a way slower tempo than other, like, I've heard other versions of So What that typically take it much faster.
Which is hard to believe.
More of like a bum bum, you know, instead of a bum bum, which is more the speed that this is taking it.
Well, it's hard to believe to listen to Coltrane soloing in there. He's playing so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd obviously change the structure of your solo if you're speeding up the tempo, but he's not pulling any punches.
Yeah.
I love Coltrane.
Again, Miles' style is definitely slow, even tempo for the kind of the backing instrumentals, so that then the freestyle instrumentals can just go nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. They really unleash.
I wrote a note down that said the piano chords and bass notes draw you into this kind of contemplative, dreamy soundscape.
Especially at the beginning.
At the beginning, and then those soloings take you from that soundscape on a bit of a sound journey. And then I also saw a fact somewhere, that a note, I don't know if it's true or not, that said Miles named the song So What because it was one of his favorite retorts when people would criticize his music.
Yeah, probably.
People would like criticize it and you go, so what?
I love that.
That's what I heard.
I think the other thing that's really interesting to listen to on this album is the drums. Jazz drums are fascinating to me.
Yeah?
Because their role is so different than a normal pop, rock, blues, whatever song.
They're not keeping the tempo.
I mean, they kind of are, but they do so much more colorful accenting than a standard, like, straight rock song.
I'm just a big fan of the trumpet.
Of course you are. That's your legacy.
I'm actually a huge fan of saxophone solos. Like, trumpet solos are great. I'm actually a big fan of saxophone solos.
Me too. Yeah, I think they're a great instrument for soloing. I mean, case in point, most of this song, most of this album, no slight to the trumpet. But you can hear, really, like, to take a bunch of professional musicians who are some of the greatest of all time and say, I just want you to riff on these scales. I mean, they could do some incredible stuff just off the cuff, just out of nowhere, out of thin air in their heads, they play this stuff. It's just remarkable to me the way that jazz musicians just feel the music. Mm-hmm. So that's the first 10 minutes of the album. The second 10 minutes of the album is Freddie Freeloader, which is loosely a 12-bar blues track.
Loosely.
It changes a little bit, but according to the liner notes, it's a 12-measure blues form given new personality by effective melodic and rhythmic simplicity.
Oh.
It's allegedly named after a guy named Fred, who tried to sneak into a lot of the band's shows without a ticket.
Yeah?
Tried to freeload his way into all the jazz.
Oh.
But there's also speculation it's named after a popular clown character at the time, or a name seen on a bartender's business card. But the story about it being a freeloader named Freddie sneaking into the show is a lot more fun to me. So that's what I choose to believe is true.
Yeah, apparently the twist on the classic 12 bars blue form, this is what I was, when I was just deep diving into all this craziness. Mm-hmm. It seems like the twist on the classic 12 bars blues, if I'm not mistaken, is that this song substitutes an A flat 7 chord into the final 2 bars, giving it a new flavor compared to the typical V chord that's at the end of most blues progressions.
5 chord. Yeah.
5 chord at the usual 5 chord.
Yeah. Switching out for a dominant 7th. That's definitely a new flavor. A little more tension in there. I like how many times I've tried to explain 12-bar blues to you in other episodes. Like multiple other episodes. And you come into this one and you're like, yes, the structure of 12-bar blues is altered in this particular... Like, what a change.
I said supposedly. I wasn't acting like I was speaking from a place of authority on the subject. That is how I interpreted it.
No, you're Miles Davis' torchbearer. You are the authority.
Yeah, hey, that's what they say. That's what some say.
Some would say.
At least one.
Freddie Freeloader, more solos from everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially in this case, a lot more piano solos from Wynton Kelly
Yes.
than So What. And of course, Miles, Coltrane, Adderley, Paul Chambers, they all go in turn on this one. The whole tet gets a moment to shine.
So I kind of thought about this. It started on this track.
Yeah.
And I kind of retroactively applied it to So What. But I kind of said, what if this album was like a 5-course meal?
Oh.
The typical 5-course meal is like the appetizer, then like a soup. Then some people do like a salad as the third course. Others do like a lighter food, like entree before the main course, which is course 4, and then dessert is course 5, right? So I was like, that would make So What the appetizer, something that kind of stimulates your appetite, right? Gets you all excited about what's to come. A lot of little flavor going on, little small bites of solo here, solo there, right? And then this one is more like the soup, that hearty, warm comfort music.
Yeah.
It hits you in your soul in a way that like a hot soup on a cold day does, right?
Okay.
That's what made me think. I originally was like, oh, soup. And then I was like, oh, 5-course meal, because 5 tracks. And so this is where that kind of began for me.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I really like jazz piano. I think there's something to be said for like the brightness of a brass instrument and the solo ability of a cool saxophone, like a woodwind. But then also, I just like that you could do chords on a piano. And there's a lot more interesting variation opportunities on a piano that playing multiple notes gives you. You kind of have to play around on a single note instrument. One's not better than the other. I just think Freddie Freeloader really makes the piano an interesting player in this game. But clocking in at 9 minutes and 46 seconds, that is the second longest song on the album, but not by much. Up next is the shortest song on the album by much.
But it's 5 minutes and 37 seconds still?
That's right. It's Blue in Green, ballad number 1. The only song on the album without Cannonball Adderley. There's also some speculation about Blue in Green that it was not composed by Davis alone. People say it might be partially or even entirely composed by pianist Bill Evans. In 1979, that's what Evans asserted in an interview. He said, "The truth is, I did write Blue and Green." He said, "I don't want to make a federal case out of it. The music exists, and Miles is getting the royalties." And in fact, he said when he asked Miles for some of the royalty money, Miles just sent him a $25 check, which is brutal. Davis and Evans would not go on to work again together after this record. Sounds like there's a little bad blood there, but whatever. The version of the song you're hearing on this album is take 5, and that's the only complete take that they got, which is wild.
That is wild.
I wonder how many times they tried after 5, but 5 was the first full one and the only one they ended up with.
This ballad, really put me in a deep mood.
I'm sure.
It really got my poetry brain a-going. So I wrote down that Blue and Green. First off, it's the salad course because green.
Oh.
And then I was imagining like a blue cheese dressing because blue and green.
Blue cheese in green salad.
Yeah.
That's not what this is, but go on.
But anyway, that wasn't the poetry brain part, but I just had to say that real fast. The poetry brain wrote down that it was a moody field of greens drizzled in moonlight reduction.
Ooh. Moonlight is very accurate. Just listen to the song. It's so quiet.
And then I said each note is a little baby arugula leaf dressed in regret.
Dressed in regret. Yeah, the poetry brain. Yeah. Oh, man. Arugula dressed in regret. That's all I'm going to think about when I hear this now. And it's not a funny song. It's so moving and sad. And
it is.
Now it's just a little wilty arugula in my brain.
It's the kind of salad that makes you remember someone you never met, was the other note I wrote.
Why are they all about salads? You just stuck on this 5-course thing.
Well, I told you I got really into the 5-course thing.
No salad has ever reminded me of anybody I've never met.
Well, I wanted to say the song makes you remember someone you never met, but then I'd like calling it a salad made it funnier.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. It's so empty. The other songs have been so big and so much, and the solos have been so happening. This song has a lot of breathing room, and it's relaxed, and it's open and flowing and free and really interesting. There's a well-known vibraphonist out there by the name of Gary Burton He talked about this song, and he said, if I was going to sit down and write a tune, it would have 10 times more stuff going on than this. Yet Evans made a memorable tune out of just practically nothing. I'm always impressed by someone who can write a very minimal piece that sticks in your mind and that's still interesting to play over and over again. And that feels like what Kind of Blue is.
Yeah.
Minimal, but so sticks in your brain.
Apparently in the original liner notes, this song was described as a 10-measure circular form. And I guess that means a 10-bar form is just unusual for jazz. Most jazz is like 12, 16, 8, some multiple of 4, right? But this one's 10, and it circles around itself in a loop, which is what you were kind of just talking about, how he's able to build off of this somewhat. There's not a lot going on, but yet there's a lot going on all at the same time, right?
Oh, yeah. A lot of subtle stuff going on.
Exactly.
This is a track you can really dig into the minutia of, because there's not really any big stuff to, blow you away. You really get to unpack this note by note.
And then we got a muted trumpet here, which you got to use a muted trumpet in your ballad solo.
Oh, absolutely.
I was always a big fan. I actually enjoy the muted trumpet over the regular trumpet in this kind of setting, in a jazz setting. I'm a big fan of a muted trumpet.
Wow. I think so too.
But that's because I'm a big fan of like blues, jazzy ballads. And it's just, the muted trumpet can be difficult to make it not go flat on you. So it's impressive.
Yeah, true. Well, if anybody can do it, Miles can.
Oh, I thought you were about to do another rug pull and say the torchbearer can.
The torchbearer, no, genuine Miles Davis can.
Are we ready to talk about our main course?
The main course, all blues. Boy, is it ever a main course. 11 and a half minutes here. This is the first track on side 2. It's the last work they recorded for the album, and it started actually as a live track that the band played in clubs and venues and stuff before they recorded it. They spent 6 months live testing it. And just like Blue and Green, all blues, they only got one complete take of. It was the second take that ended up on the record. It's a really interesting song. Davis, Adderley, Coltrane, and Evans are the solos on here.
This is a 12 bars blue as well. It feels like it's adjacent if it's not. Because I saw in the liner notes that it was described as a 6/8 12 measure blues. So I wasn't sure if 12 measure blues was a 12 bars blue, if those were like synonymous terms.
No, it's definitely different structure. It's not the 1/4, 1/4, 5/4. You know what I mean? It's different than that. But it is 12 bars of bluesy music.
Yeah, it just says it's a 6/8 12 measure blues form. So I wasn't sure if 12 measure blues and 12 bar blues was the same thing. Yeah, apparently it was described as a 12 bars blue in G, but played in a rolling 6/8 time to give it a more jazz waltz feel.
It is 12 bar bluish, but it's a little, they vary it again.
They're like, we can't give you a standard 12 bar blue. We gotta do something to it.
Gotta change it up. It's a tough song. At the end of the tape, you can hear, I don't know if it made it onto the album or if it's just the end of the studio tape, but at the end, you can hear bassist Paul Chambers say that the song is a hard mother. He's like, that's a hard mother. And again, since it's the last track they finished for the album, Davis and Evans never did record again together after this one.
Shame.
Darn shame.
I describe this as a hearty, rolling groove like braised short rib.
This episode's making me hungry.
Yeah, so that I kind of envision our main course as being like ribs, some nice hearty, like slow roasted, like smoked ribs or something,
Uh-huh.
I might have also been hungry when I did this.
It sounds like it. This song has such an interesting tension to it. There's a lot of half steps in there. Do, 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 do.
I actually went so far as to describe the solos as different parts of the rib.
Oh my gosh.
I said Miles was the seasoning, the rub on the rib. Cannonball would have been like the part of the rib that's been caramelized, right? Like the outer edge is they get a little more caramelized from the heat.
Uh-huh.
And that the Coltrane solo was the smoky interior.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense to me, honestly. Sure.
You should take me to one of those cool smoky jazz shows where everybody says pretentious crap like that.
Yeah. It's a good song.
I like that when you listen to this on headphones, the solos bounce around to different ears. One solo will be in your right ear, the other one's in your left.
Definitely a good mixing job. I don't know if this album got any remasters or not.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I can't imagine it was like that when it was released in 1959, but the version I heard did it, and that was nice.
No, they didn't really do much stereo then. It's a cool effect, though. It makes you feel like you're in the room with them a lot more This song kind of falls in between the energies of Blue and Green and like Freddie Freeloader. I like that. Walks a good middle ground. The thing about the song 2 being 11 and a half minutes doesn't bother me at all because the whole album is just such a vibe. The whole album is the same way.
Yeah, it's just a vibe, yeah.
You can't get tired of it. Like, you can't. It's so funny that it's so not fatiguing, but it's just, for me, never is. Jazz is never very fatiguing because there's always something new to listen to, always something different happening. And that's neat. Also, the Allman Brothers did a fun, altered cover of All Blues called In Memory of Elizabeth Reed.
Huh.
Yeah. Dwayne Allman was talking about his own style on that song, and he said that kind of playing comes from Miles and Coltrane, and particularly Kind of Blue. I've listened to that album so many times for the past couple years, I haven't hardly listened to anything else. So it's an unlikely influence for the Allman Brothers, I think. A lot of their songs are very melody-driven. And it makes sense if you really think about it, but I never would have guessed that a band like the Allman Brothers drew so heavily from this album and from Miles. So we've had our ribs.
We've had our ribs. Listen, we've had our hors d'oeuvres. We've had our soup, our hearty soup.
Yep.
We've had our light salad drizzled in regret.
Yeah.
We've had our smoky ribs. It's time for 5 little bites of infinite stillness. And that's our dessert, Flamenco Sketches.
5 little bites of infinite stillness.
Yeah.
What's up with you this week?
I'm jazzy, baby.
I guess.
Jazzy Connor.
Jazzy Connor.
The torchbearer.
I can't believe Jazzy Connor hasn't come out till now. What a new persona for you.
This is kind of a new kind of album for us.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
An instrumental jazz piece like this.
Well, Flamenco Sketches.
But you see, Flamenco Sketches is made up of 5 separate modes, right?
Yeah, according to the liner notes, it's a series of 5 scales, each to be played as long as the soloist wishes until he's completed the series. So you kind of rotate through.
And so to me, this was like one of those fancy place desserts where they bring you out 5 little 1-bite pieces of dessert that are plated, and like each one has like cute little sauce around it, and it's just literally like one little, you pick it up with the fork and boom, 1 bite, you eat it, and each one's like different.
Yeah.
And each one with its own, like one's tart, one's silky. I said one was more florally, one was woody, and one was cool, is how I described the 5 solos. And yeah, jumping kind of to the end of the song, I really like how it just kind of ends on that last note.
Yeah.
That piano goes pling, and you hear the cymbals kind of crash, and then it just, I said that's like the last little, like when you take the last little bite and that little bit of powdered sugar comes back out your mouth when you breathe. That final breath.
A final whisper of powdered sugar. Yeah, I think the concept is really awesome of rotating through scales and everybody just does their bit for as long as they want. It's very free.
Everybody gets to say their piece through their music.
Yeah, and again, this is the only song they did completely in one take.
Which is so cool.
And yeah, it sounds like for moving through 5 scales, it sounds like one of the most complex pieces. But it's also really interesting because there's not a ton of chord structure, like no 10 loops and 12-bar blues varied and stuff. It's a lot subtler on the underscoring of these solos so that the solos can just do what they do.
Yeah. I like that they chose what is apparently called the Phrygian mode, spelled with a PH. Rygian, Phrygian.
The Phrygians.
Well, either way, it sounds like the fridge I'm putting my leftovers in from this 5-course meal. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm Phrygian my leftovers.
Because at first I was like, why is this like called flamenco? Because,
when I think of flamenco, I think of like the Spanish dance with the little finger clickers.
That's exactly what I was. It was like, it reminds me of like Spanish, like folklore music dance stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, this doesn't really give me that vibe. But apparently that Phrygian mode is it's a B flat major scale that starts on D, and apparently that's a very Spanish scale, and so, like a lot of Spanish music uses that scale, and apparently that's where like flamenco kind of comes into play into these sketches.
Yeah, I can hear that.
That was my big thing. I was like, okay, I get sketches, each of them's kind of doing their own thing, but why flamenco? And that's what I found out.
Yeah, turns out they did it in a way that made sense.
Well, do you need a doggy bag for all that good food you just listened to?
Man, I guess so. All the good food you just listened to. Yeah, I think it's time for a final spin. Let's see what's on the plate at the end of this episode. So much good stuff here. Now, there's no lyrics on the album to speak of course. And when that happens, I don't give the lyrics a score, obviously. I redistribute the weight of the lyrics points out to the other categories, which is great.
Do you do it evenly?
Yeah, I do.
It's been a while since we've had an album that you had to redistribute.
That's true.
It's almost always the lyrics. There's always music. There's always instruments. There's always vibe.
It's literally only ever going to be the lyrics that get cut that aren't on an album. Yes.
Dude, if you ever have a zero vibe album and you have to redistribute vibe, we've got a problem.
I don't know what's happened then.
You could do I guess you could have no music if it was like a true, purely
like a spoken word album.
Yeah, instrumentation could be gone if it was like a cappella, right?
Well, we have, but then production also factors in, and that's a huge part of recorded a cappella music.
That's true. So then, music would have to be like spoken word poetry, if you ever did a spoken word poetry album. Yeah,
I don't know if that's quite the direction the podcast is headed. But maybe someday.
I don't know. After what Jazzy Connor just laid down, maybe.
Yeah, for me, this album's so cool. It's so interesting and so one of a kind. I'm giving the music an 86. It probably would be a much higher music score if I understood formal music better. I wasn't in band. I didn't learn too much about scales and modes and things. I know a little bit from my time playing guitar and from studying this album and stuff. But yeah, I think every moment of this album presents you with something new. You're never hearing the same thing twice. Maybe if you don't count like the so what chords back and forth. Everything else feels really fresh constantly. And so that's cool. There's not really any musical moments that necessarily stick out a ton and that you remember more than others, because the whole thing is just a top to bottom experience that you remember as one meal. It's really cool. So an 86 there. No score for the lyrics. 93 on the instruments and the production. This album comes from 1959 and it sounds pristine. Excellently produced. Every instrument's clear. Every soloist is at the top of their game at all times. And they're just incredible instrumentalists. Again, these are some of the biggest names in the genre. And not just like big names then, they're big names now too. They're still icons. They're still legendary. People still study Coltrane and Miles Davis and Cannonball Adderley. Like, they're the masters. So I'm giving a 93 to the instruments and the production, 85 to the overall vibe. It's a world-changing album, and I think that's really awesome. Overall score for Kinda Blue from me is an 88.1, which lands it at number 201, below George Strait, Straight from the Heart, above the Oh Hello's Dear Wormwood. Probably could go a little higher if I really got down to brass tacks, if I really studied music theory. And
I was thinking it would be a top 2 hundo at least.
Well, you're not far from a top 2 hundo.
Just barely out.
It was a top 2 hundo when I first listened to it, easily.
But I'm glad you brought it for the podcast.
Thank you, me too.
Fantastic choice.
Sounds like it. Jazz Connor exploded onto the scene for the very first time.
Not Jazz Connor. We've had Jazz Connor.
Well, you're right. Jazzy Connor.
This is Jazzy Connor.
The torchbearer for the legend himself, Miles Davis.
Hopefully I bared his torch well.
Bore? That kind of bear is very different.
I bared it.
Nope. Bore.
Hopefully I bore his torch well.
I think you did. Yeah, I think you really did.
I am giving this album an easy 9 puffed up tets out of 10.
9 puffed up tets. What a unit.
Got a lot of tets, and they're all puffed up, just like him.
I guess. Puffed like the cheeks of a trumpet player. Tets like the quartets, quintets, sextets, and nonets that Miles Davis was in. It all makes sense. Easy 9. Love that.
You can count me up for 9 more on my way to 5 million.
Yes, yeah, 9 tets closer to 5 million. Great. It's going to take you a while to hit Kinda Blue numbers, even still. If it's an easy 9.
Yeah, it's an easy 9.
Where in those 9s does it go?
Oh, it's going all the way. It's going all the way to right above Red by Taylor Swift.
Oh, wow. Solid. Love it.
There's some albums below it that I probably would enjoy listening to more on a regular basis, but just the powerhouse this album is, it deserves that high. When you're in the mood for this, nothing scratches the itch but this,
Yeah, it's one of a kind.
You can't always go out for a 5-course meal, but every once in a while.
You gotta
treat yourself.
It sounds like your little arugula will have no regrets.
I'm on a no regrets diet.
Yeah, trying to lose some emotional weight.
My top 3 in album order.
Like, look, you're going to take 4 out of the 5 of them. Which one's getting left on the table?
In album order, So What?
Yep.
Freddie Freeloader.
Okay, it made the cut.
Blue and Green.
Also made the cut.
All Blues.
Oh, wow. He's going for the full.
And honorable mention, Flamenco Sketches.
You're taking an extra one. You're taking the whole album in your top 3.
Taking an extra one. Listen, I couldn't in good conscience leave one. It's like you gotta come up with at least like a participation trophy for the one to be left out. It's not right to their confidence.
Well, that's true. And all these songs are about the same amount of deserving.
Exactly.
Well, that'll come back to bite you next week, maybe, but
It really will.
look at you taking a whole album. When on earth have you been able to take a full album?
Never.
Even when I gave you free reign on like your birthday or something.
Spin it. History has been made.
I guess.
I mean, my hand selected Ray Stevens' career classics. It's kind of like taking a whole album. I took every single one of those because I brought them.
Yeah, no kidding. What's your playlist pick? Either way, we're substantially extending the length of the playlist.
Yes, we are. I think I'm taking So What.
So what?
So what are you taking for the playlist?
I thought about So What. That gives me a harder choice. I'm thinking about it, and I like the ballads on this album a lot, but they're almost too sparse for the playlist, I think. I feel like I want something with a little more weight to it.
A little more weight.
Although the ballads are beautiful.
The ballads are beautiful. Blue and green, sitting there. That would have been my other choice. I just really liked that call and response on So What. That's why I had to make sure it got onto the playlist.
You know what? I think I do like Blue and Green. I don't know. I was thinking about it. I was listening to it again, and it's too pretty to pass up.
Some blue cheese and green salad.
If I did pass it up, I would be a little arugula dressed in regret. Reminded of a playlist pick I never met. So Blue and Green. So what in Blue and Green it is.
Every time I regret something, I'm going to say I feel like a little arugula right now.
A little arugula of regret.
And people are like, what? And they'll be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm dressed in regret.
When they ask what you mean, you just direct them to this episode.
Oh.
Yeah. Or direct them to our socials. At SpinItPodOfficial on Instagram. At SpinItPod on X. You could direct them to www.spinitpod.com. Tell them to find this episode. Then they'll understand why you're dressed in regret.
Tell a friend about the podcast.
You could.
So that they're not dressed in regret. Specifically, go tell a friend who's taken a vow of silence. What else they got to do other than listen to our podcast? I can't talk.
Wow. If they start playing a trumpet at you during our podcast, maybe hit pause.
That means they like it. That means they like it.
That means they like it. Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
That means you should keep playing it even louder.
Feed them.
Feed them the 5-course meal.
That's right. We'll see you next week. The holiday season is getting closer, and that's exciting for us.
Uh-huh.
We've got a couple one-of-a-kind episodes in a row coming up, and I'm jazzed about that.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week, and until then,
Keep spinning.
You know, in England, I bet they call him kilometers, Davis.
Yeah, you see, we made it the entire time without doing that joke.
I know, but I couldn't let it go the entire time. Maybe that's your thing. He was Miles Davis. You, as his torchbearer, are Kilometer Connor.
Kilometer Connor, I like it. The other joke I kept wanting to make, but didn't, was whenever you'd say his name, I would be like, who's that? Isn't that Spider-Man guy?
Spider-Man guy. Yeah, Miles Davis. You know, Spider-Man. How many other people named Miles do you know? I guess there's not many.
I have so many friends named Miles, I could line them all up and they'd equal a kilometer.
I could line them all up and it would stretch for yards. All that food. Now we gotta find an album that's like a Tums.
Oh. What? I didn't really give you any food that would mess with your stomach.
You don't know my stomach.
Oh, fair enough.